Okay, so it appears that Saleh al-Jaafarawi has been killed, but not by Israel. He's been killed now by Palestinian factions as they battle it out, um, having all sorts of issues. Now it's the Dagmash family, which allegedly ended the life of Saleh al-Jaafarawi. Of course, he has been rumored to have been killed a number of times, and he always pops back up. Again, many costumes, many different outfits, and it's beyond ironic that it's now Palestinians who actually ended his life. But this guy, huge Hamas support account, very, very into supporting the quote unquote resistance. And now he has been killed by Palestinians, a rival Palestinian group in in Gaza. So um, this is Saleh, so you see it. Um, it's just an unbelievable irony that that's how he would go out here. Um, yeah, so it's really just incredible news. Um, and yeah, so he's been killed, but not by Israel. He was killed by a rival Palestinian faction that is now engaged in a very intense gun battle with other with Hamas. So now Hamas is actually going and trying to burn the houses down of those who are involved in Saleh's killing. This is all coming from the Palestinian media. So if I look at, I'm just going to pull this up here, Hamza 2030, Hamza 2300. Okay. Yeah, so here, 1 second, pull this up, be able to take a look at exactly what's going on here. Get it? All right, screen share this. Okay, let's take a look here. This is the
هذا العمود بهدل بالك ياخذ العمود هذا.
by Hamas. This is a home of the people that allegedly killed Salah al-Jawafari, um, the fabulist who, now people are saying, oh, they didn't even realize he was still alive. Yeah, because his death had been rumored for so much time and going back and forth. Um, but no, it appears now that he has actually been killed and confirmed. Now let's continue to look at Palestinian media, and there's all sorts of back and forth between Hamas and other factions. So here I'm going to pull this video up of Hamas actually attacking other factions within Gaza. We'll watch this one more time just so you can see. Armed militias going and fighting back and forth with each other. So it appears, based on the reporting from Palestinian channels, that Saleh al-Jawafari was actually killed in a gun battle similar to that, and that's how he ended up um, killed. And now we have another Palestinian journalist from, let's translate this, see what he says here. Uh, let's see what he says, talking about Saleh's death. His name is Abdullah Halatar. Their colleague and friend Saleh al-Jaafarawi has been out of contact for several hours while covering the news in Gaza City. There is no reliable information about his fate. Please keep him in your prayers. We ask God to keep him safe. All right. So, and his brother actually had posted saying that he had been killed and then took it down and said, pray for him. But it appears that he actually was killed. If we go through other aspects here of the Palestinian media, let's see what else comes up. It says urgent, a senior source at the Ministry of Interior in Gaza to Al Jazeera. Martyrs from the security forces in attack carried out by an armed militia in Gaza City. The security forces are besieging a militia inside Gaza City and dealing with it to arrest its members. The militia killed displaced people while returning from the southern sector to Gaza City. So there really is a civil war of sorts. It's broken out now in Gaza, vying for control, vying for power. And we're seeing that unfold in real time. There's a ton of violence and shooting and back and forth that's going on. We'll continue to monitor that. And again, Saleh al-Jaafarawi, not killed by Israel. He was killed by Palestinians, a rival Palestinian faction that was, they're shooting back and forth. So that's quite something, because again, there's a lot of speculation as to what would happen in Gaza, and now you actually see, and now we see that Saleh al-Jaafarawi is killed by other Palestinians. So not even by Israel, but by other Palestinians. Of course, on October 7th, Saleh al-Jaafarawi was celebrating and then very quickly started crying as Israel started bombing back. But his videos and live streams of him celebrating were not, or have not been forgotten by Israel or by those who support Jews not getting slaughtered. Saleh al-Jaafarawi is a scumbag, a horrible person, and his fake reporting from Gaza has been quite problematic because he spreads lies. And the thing about Saleh al-Jaafarawi is he was very talented at spreading these lies. His videos were extremely compelling. They got a lot of views. They went viral. He raised millions of dollars actually for fake charities that it's alleged that he just pocketed the money. But this is the kind of person that you're dealing with. And it's not just some grifter on the corner of the internet. The guy had millions and millions and millions of followers and was doing a very, very good job at galvanizing the base. So, again, extremely ironic that he was taken out by Palestinians. Has nothing to do with Israel at all. A rival faction that was opposed to Hamas that took him out. So that's really just quite something. Let's see what else there is here. Okay. Let's see what else is popping up. Let's see. Yeah, again, they love to accuse Israel of doing all these things. Again, it has nothing to do with Israel. Um, let's see what else here. I just want to say one note while we're talking here, just about Qatar's Air Force base or establishment in Israel. Sorry, excuse me, in America. Deeply problematic. And one of the unintended consequences of Israel's war with Hamas seems to be the elevation of Qatar's status on the international stage, and the fact that they're the level of coordination between Qatar and the United States seems to have only grown, which is deeply problematic and quite frightening. It has to be considered when people evaluate wins and losses, and you talk about not just now, but 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Qatar is the seemingly the largest funder of the anti-Israel movement on college campuses in America, and it is a concerning phenomenon. So it has to be noted, has to be accounted for. That came out on Friday, so just making a note of it here. Let's see what other aspects here coming out of Saleh al-Jaafarawi. Where is Saleh al-Jaafarawi? Let's see. What does Janine News have to say? So it says the son of Hamas leader Bassem Naim was critically injured by a bullet to the head during clashes with outlaw gangs in the Sabra neighborhood of Gaza. So now you actually have some of the highest ranked Hamas leaders. Their child was actually just his son was just attacked by a rival gang. Again, nothing to do with Israel, but a rival gang just hit his son. So again, we see what's breaking out here seems to be, for all intents and purposes, a complete civil war for Gazans, um, and further destruction of the Gaza Strip. But this is really exclusively in the hands of Gazans. Israel's not doing anything. And you have to wonder what the end goal is here, and for other Arab countries in the surrounding areas, why they are okay with people in the streets getting attacked in such a way. And ultimately, Qatar, if Qatar and Turkey have such influence over Hamas, why they're allowing them to do such things. They're just slaughtering people in the streets. Um, okay, so Saleh al-Jaafari, again, killed by Palestinians, it appears, trying to figure out exactly who, but certainly not Israel. Um, okay, the leader in the Ansar Allah movement, Nasser al-Din Amer. If a new October 7th or any new Palestinian confrontation occurs, Yemen will fight again alongside Palestine. We are not affected by the voices of the defeated and the blamers. And no one can prevent millions of Yemenites from jihad. Okay, that seems like a message of peace. Definitely should be internalized. Um, Okay, now the Resistance News Network says Palestinian security forces in Gaza reported martyrs and wounded among their ranks and among displaced civilians killed by an armed militia of the Dagmash clan in Gaza City. The son of Hamas leader Bassem Naim was critically injured after being shot in the head during the clashes. The journalist Saleh al-Jaafari was also reported missing. The clash comes a day after a separate clash with the Dagmash clan 2 days ago in Tal al-Zatar, which resulted in several casualties. Um, So I actually sent Bassem Naim a message asking him if his son was okay. and he responded with question marks. But it was on Palestinian it was on Palestinian media that his son was injured. So didn't really respond to me. That's weird. Let's see what Mr. Bassem has to say. Weird. I have it for journalistic purposes, not anything else. But okay, that'd be weird if I broke the news to Bassem Naim of Hamas, but did not have that one on the bingo card today. Again, for journalistic purposes, no other reason that I'd be talking to Bassem Naim. That's just a very strange occurrence here. So let's see what Mr. Naim of Hamas has to say. Yeah, okay, again, so Bassem Naim's son is rumored to have been shot in the head. I sent him a message and he responds with question marks as if he doesn't know. So, all right, I'm not sure, if you ascend in martyrdom, but I don't know if that counts being shot by a Palestinian, a fellow Muslim. Not really sure how that one works. If anyone has any comments, thoughts on how that one works, send me a note here. I have no idea if that counts for martyrdom according to the radical Islamist tradition. That's crazy. Yeah. So again, I send one of the leaders of Hamas a message saying asking if his son was okay, and he says that he's not. He gives me question marks, but I asked empathetically, saying, "Is there anything about your son?" And he's now. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because if you achieve martyrdom and that's what you want as a radical Islamist, presumably that would be a good thing. But if you're killed by a fellow Muslim, does that also count towards your martyrdom? Who knows? I have no idea. So, yeah, did not have this one on my bingo card. This is quite something. Let's see what he says. I asked him different person. Let's see. I'm very confused by this. I have to be completely honest. Like, if you're a Hamas senior member, do you prefer your children alive or unalived? I really don't know, because if you're achieving some sort of higher purpose, is that a good thing? I don't know. But also, does that count if you're killed by a fellow Muslim? Let's see what the AI internet has to say. Does a radical Islamist believe that they achieve martyrdom even if they are killed by a fellow Muslim? Okay, so if the killer is deemed an apostate or hypocrite, then they are labeled murtadin or munafiqun. So it still counts as martyrdom because they see that they're dying against the enemies of God. But if both sides are at fault, it says, according to the Prophet Muhammad, if two Muslims confront each other with swords, both the killer and the killed are in hellfire. Intra-Islamist conflicts, when Islamist groups fight each other, for example, ISIS versus Hamas or Al-Qaeda affiliates, each side usually declares the other takfir, unbelievers. Thus, each side would still view its dead as martyrs. Okay, so according to this from AI on the internet, seems like they would still consider themselves martyrs, even though it was an Islamist or a rival faction within Gaza Strip and not just Israel. And I guess that goes the same for Saleh al-Jaafarawi, because Saleh al-Jaafarawi was killed by a rival gang in Gaza. Just yesterday, he had posted that he, like a victory, some sort of victory selfie post, and now he was killed by a rival gang. Quite interesting. So I guess just for giggles, not giggles, but we can. I don't really care. So here, let's see what happens if I call Bassem Naim of Hamas. Let's see what he says. If his son was there. No answer. Again, curious what he actually thinks of it. Okay, so maybe I can call someone else from Hamas, see what they say. Let's see what other people there are there. Mm. No answer from Hamas there. Okay. I'm going to share here something with if we go here, so this is Saleh al-Jaafarawi just yesterday.
بحمد الله وفضل الله ومن قلب شمال غزة اليوم بقدر أحكي لكم إنه الحمد لله تم التوصل إلى وقف إطلاق نار بفضل ربنا سبحانه وتعالى. الحمد لله رب العالمين اللي أشهدنا هذه اللحظات مرة ثانية. الحمد لله ربنا كتب لنا الحياة إنه إحنا نشهد الحمد لله وقف هذه الحرب، حرب الإبادة وحرب النزوح، حرب الدمار، حرب الجوع، حرب المقتلة اللي عشناها لأكثر من 2 على التوالي. الحمد لله رب العالمين هذه الإبادة انتهت، هذه الحرب انتهت، هذا الدمار انتهى. الحمد لله رب العالمين اليوم غزة حتقدر انه هي ترجع تنام من اول وجديد بامان وبسلام. اهل قطاع غزة حيرجعوا لبيوتهم حتى لو كانت مدمرة. معليش تقلقوش علينا، بنرجع نعمرها احسن من قبل وبنرجع نبنيها احلى من قبل باذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. المهم انه هذه الحرب انتهت. اليوم فتحت لكم حساب جديد على الانستغرام بس عشان انقل لكم هذا الخبر اللي صار لنا 2 بنستنى فيه. حساب الجديد صالح دوت الجعفراوي 2. ما اعتقدش يطول بس مش مشكلة، المهم انه احنا ننقل هذا الخبر من شمال قطاع غزة. اليوم بقدر احكي لكم انا صالح الجعفراوي انه انتهت هذه الحرب بفضل ربنا سبحانه وتعالى. انتهت هذه الحرب الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Crazy. Now he fell at the hands of a Gazan bullet. So he was killed by fellow Palestinians, that a rival faction opposed to Hamas, that's been fighting with Hamas, nothing to do with Israel. And I just I'm curious to see how all these insane anti-Semitic journalists, quote unquote, spin this one, because this is crazy. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. So they're saying Saleh al-Jaafarawi, his body has now been brought to the hospital. One second. So, yeah, according to this thread here, martyrdom of Saleh al-Jaafarawi by a bullet from the Dagmash family in Gaza City. His body has now arrived at the Al-Mamadan hospital. Okay, so yeah, his body is now there. I guess they're confirming that this is what actually happened. His body has now arrived at the hospital. Seems like this is it for Saleh al-Jaafarawi, killed by Palestinians. So now it's martyrs, the traitors. So now they're saying that the traitors. So now the traitors have killed him, according to Gaza. Yeah, so now it's been confirmed that he is Saleh al-Jaafarawi, has been killed by fellow Muslims in the Gaza Strip. It's just unbelievable. So this whole time, people kept saying, "Oh, Israel, they're going after journalists, all this stuff," even though a lot of them are Hamas, working with Hamas, supporting Hamas, going about all this stuff. And he was killed by Palestinians. Saleh al-Jaafarawi killed by Palestinians. That's it. So he's done. Killed by Hamas. And that's it. Really just next level. The fact, it's hard to put into words, just the amount of crazy BS that this guy put out. I mean, world record level BS that this guy put out. And also stole money, ran fake fundraisers, just an overall terrible human being. And he is killed by Palestinians. Not Israel, not Jews, not Zionists, nothing. By factions in Gaza. Truly next level. I mean, again, hard to put this into words, how insane this is, but nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with Zionism, anything. It was his fellow Palestinians killed him. He is killed by Palestinian factions that really don't like him, don't like Hamas, and that's it. The irony is just out of control. Truly out of control. All right, so other topics here going on. Hamas and some families have actually been notified that they do not have, that Hamas does not have all the bodies. I'm told that it's roughly 8, that they're unaware of their location. And time will tell here what's going on. Some have asked, what do you think Israel's going to do? The answer is, I really have no idea. I know that there's a lot of pressure. And certainly the Arab countries would like everything to be done. I think a lot of Israel would like everything to be done. The question is, if Israel is not able to recover all the bodies, and there's this international coalition that is trying to locate all the bodies, how long is that going to take? How is that going to play politically within Israel? Is it even possible to find all the bodies? Number of different factions originally kidnapped a lot of these people on October 7th. And it's with the pounding that's been going on in Gaza, it's not exactly clear where every corpse is buried. This is a real problem. It could go on for a long time, and there's a chance that some may never be recovered. That's something that has to be understood. This is a very difficult situation. I don't know that the Israeli public has prepared for that, but it is a reality, or a potential reality, that has to be accounted for. According to Israel's understanding, or at least what they're promoting, the IDF would be involved in taking apart the terror tunnels, but how that actually would play out remains to be seen. But I think it's I think it's noteworthy, and I wouldn't put it out of the question that Israel returns to war pretty quickly. I know it might not be what people want to hear, but there is a chance, because if not returning all the bodies is a direct violation of the agreement as it is signed and understood by the Israeli public, it could be, I think it could be a real possibility. So the Israeli public has, and the whole world wants the living hostages and the deceased hostages returned home. I'm just unsure what's going to happen when Hamas is unable to show that they even have the bodies of all of the deceased hostages. You still have a reality that Hamas is there. They are not completely defeated, no matter what any spokesperson says. They're still there in somewhat. They've said that they do not want to disarm. That was a clear part of the Trump agreement. So how that plays out, who knows? But it definitely has to be considered. And what exactly is going to, how this plays out remains to be seen. But there's clearly a lot of things going on that people do not know, that the world does not see. Israel knew that Hamas did not have. So when they signed on to this agreement, that was known. Perhaps they couldn't sell that to the public or whatever it might be, but that's something just to be considered. And it remains to be seen how this thing plays out. I saw some fake news going about perhaps some hostages that were declared dead might not be dead. I'm very weary, very skeptical to believe that, and I would encourage everyone just to hang on a little bit there to see what actually happens. But so that remains to be seen. What other things were pressing? Oh, the New York Times article that came out over the weekend talking about Hamas's plans for October 7th in the intercepted messages. I think it's important just to highlight some of that here. You're talking about just some of the main quotes. Kill everyone on the road, kill everyone you encounter. That was an instruction from both Yahya Sinwar and the commanders that day. Burn, burn. I want the whole kibbutz to be in flames. So when you talk about genocidal intention and trying to destruct civilian property with reckless abandon, that is quite literally what Hamas said and did on October 7th. Slaughter them and the children of Israel. That was an instruction from one of the Hamas battalion commanders. Slit their throats, slit them as you are trained. Another instruction that came down. So these are a lot of the things that anti-Semites and people that just hate Israel have accused Israel of doing. But as you see, it's actually done by Hamas itself very clearly. 2 or 3 operations in which an entire neighborhood, kibbutz, or something similar will be burned must be prepared. That was the handwritten memo by Yahya Sinwar more than a year before October 7th. So this is all hard, indisputable evidence of the Palestinian intention to commit genocide against Israel. And now it's, there's a reason why some of these people are so loud in opposing Israel, but they're actually accusing Israel of doing exactly what the Palestinians actually do. So, has to be considered, has to be seen through that light. So again, before we wrap up here, Saleh al-Jaafarawi killed by Palestinians. He was killed by a Palestinian gunman, rival faction, and not by Israel. It's important to note that. One second. Got it. So, all right. Anyway, Saleh al-Jaafarawi killed by Palestinians. Interesting to see how this plays out, but the world is a little bit of a better place now that he has is no longer able to spread propaganda and anti-Semitic BS across the world. No matter what he says, he was not a journalist.